Well, just started the sandblasting. Gonna work the underside of the cowl. Of course, you want to do the hardest part first. Whatever you can't reach, you get after. You can see up in this area. When I assembled that, if you remember, I put some bed liner. Pickup bed liner in there, and it was a tan color that I used on another truck just to make sure that before I put the closeout panels on the cowl or the bodywork on the cowl that I'd have a waterproof barrier and a rust preventer in there, because obviously I can't get it while I'm sandblasting. So I got a little bit of, I got to grind off the outside, take a wire brush and get that off of there. It will not. You can see I just started riding up against it with the blaster, and that stuff doesn't come off worth a hoot. The other side, I'm going to try to zoom. You can see I got that one. I actually wire brushed back when I did it, but in the areas that I did not. Where up in here and up in there. Where I didn't wire brush it, I clearly need to go back and wire brush it. I kind of thought it would blast off, and I was wrong. So I wire brushed the entire floor up to this point here. All this has been wire brushed to get the scale off, so then I can get in there and start blasting that. So I'm going to try to work the interior through as best I can. At least up to this point, and then I'll go on the exterior, because again, I want to get the cowl probably back to these posts in epoxy. I don't want to flash rust, so I want to get epoxy on it as soon as possible. If it goes really well, if everything is just cruising along great and it's blasting off, then I'll do the whole car all at once. But I'm just doing the nights now that I'm working, so I'm not going to be able to dedicate a significant amount of time to it. And I want to keep it going. I want to get it into epoxy, so by this coming weekend where I could put some time into it, I'd rather be focused on other things. So I'm going to blast and blast. Yeah, putting epoxy down, throwing away the waste. I'm going to go through a little more paint. But at the end of the story, when I don't allow any as minimal amount of time between the bare blasted metal and the epoxy, that's the best possible bond I can get. I'd rather achieve those results than throwing $20 worth of epoxy in the garbage. So anyway, it's going good. It actually blasted quite well. It's only what is it? 12 minutes to 7 o'clock. So I got to go in, take a shower, and get myself off to work. So I thought I'd do a quick video just to let everybody know that I am making progress. It's coming along spectacular, and we'll see you soon. Here we are again, sandblasting. Hard to see, but the top of the cowl is done. I got to get around the sides, but I got to push my unit forward to do that. I'm still working from the front to the back. The cowl is done, inside, outside, everything on the cowl, all the way up, deep into this section. Looks good. So getting the picture frames and the door frames finished up. I got to about there. You can see some shiny, and I got to go up this and back, but trying to get as much of the outside so I can crawl back inside. This is where I just ended. It ran out of sand, so I was trying to get as much as I can. Got the whole inner fender, but it's going well. What I basically did is took my two welding 8-foot welding curtains, one there, and draped plastic over. opening them up for refills. Just close them and then use these straps here, or these clamps rather, and adjust it accordingly. So now I'll just move this whole situation forward when I get to the front of the car and keep on going. But I'm getting I'd say I'd probably about 3/4 of the way done. The hard part is going to be under the bottom. I've even considered setting it on the cowl, but I'll probably have to put it over on the lift and figure out a way to do it that way. Curtain around it, lots of light. But it is going very, very well. This is very difficult. I've ground or wire brushed all of the scale off. There's sand sitting on there. I just took a broom. But wire brushed it first. You can kind of see. And then come back and just blast and blast and blast. It just takes a little bit of time, but it comes. It comes. The key is, you know, I want to get probably 80-90% light gray, I guess. You know, where I've got, for example, I'm going to try to zoom. There's a good close-up. So, you know, it's all blasted, but I want light gray all over. And the reason for that is I'll get adhesion, and epoxy, which is what I'll be putting down to seal everything. Epoxy bonds to itself as well, if not better than it bonds to the material underneath it. So it's like a plastic cover. I mean, that's the purpose for epoxy, is to seal completely. After I'm done spraying with epoxy, I'll go to anywhere where I've repaired body panels. Here's an example where you can see a weld seam there and then there, and then I'll put seam sealer on those on the inside and push it, you know, push it and then dress it in, and then this whole floor will be a bed liner, pickup bed liner. In fact, the whole interior will be pickup bed liner, partly for sound deadening, but partly because it adds some structure and a build for I don't know, what do you mean a build, Fred? What's the build for? The build is for vibration, noise, vibration, and harmonics, NVH. Try to get as much quietness in the interior by starting with a layer that's good and thick, and then going to an asphalt-based dynamat is what people call it, I guess, but a product like that, and then keep on going from there. But no, at this point, I'll probably put a piece of 2-inch tape down the middle, because this still needs to be widened out 6 inches. So right now, just getting it, once I get the frame in, I'll set the body on the frame, and I'll use the rear axle as the reference for how wide I go. But still looking after a compact pickup, like right now I got my eye on a Toyota Tundra 98 with a fuel injection, 4-cylinder fuel injection, 5-speed. And then I'll measure the rear axle width, and then I'll adjust accordingly to that. But from the measurements that I've taken, it looks like it'll be in the range of 6 inches, that the body will go wider. That allows for a center console and more legroom up front, and all the things that are conveniences in a more modern vehicle. So more later. Thanks for listening. Well, it's Sunday. Yeah, I went into today sandblasting. I sandblasted yesterday, had some problems with the sandblaster. The little manifold at the bottom that hooks to the hose sandblasted through. So I had to machine it and put a fitting on it. But in any event, I finished it up this morning, and then I just sat and vacuumed with compressed air, vacuum, blow, vacuum, blow, vacuum, blow, cleaned it all out, and shot the epoxy. So the interesting thing is the body work turned out really good. I mean, you can see the shadow lines where there will need to be a little bit of a filler, but not much. The nice thing about white epoxy is there's a little pinhole there, and that's where the chrome strip was on. And of course I'll use some fiberglass reinforced filler on that. Plug it up, seal it off. But it really turned out good. Really turned out well. And the next phase then, of course, is to get inside, and I'm gonna put geez, I can't remember the name, Herculiner on it. I got 2 containers of Herculiner. They're right over there. And so that's enough for 2 trucks, 2 pickup boxes. And I've used it before, and I do like the product. And the whole interior is going to be done. Everything. All the way up the sides, up in underneath the lid. Not the posts, of course, and the, you know, anything that gets a trim panel put on it. But all of the body will. Before I do that, though, another interesting thing is with white, you expose. There's a pinhole from a weld. There's a pinhole. There's a pinhole. To think that you don't get any pinholes ever. I suppose if a person tigged it, they could do pretty good. But even so, I'll go along the whole interior. The whole interior. And I will, for example, this piece right here. Oh, when I'm zoomed this right here, I will go around with a product called AC Delco. It's a single part medium body seam sealer, and I'll go around the whole interior, all the welds, and spread it on there with a mud knife or a mud trowel or a mud squeegee, whatever you call it. And I'll do that everywhere that I've welded. I will do that so that I can assure that it's been sealed. And then following the cure on that, then I'll follow it with the box liner, which obviously will seal it too. Box liner is a very durable product, but it also will deaden the sheet sound on the sheet metal and that kind of stuff. Anyway, there you have it. Today marks a new day. The day that I can rest easy now because the car is in epoxy. No more flash rusting. Even this morning when I woke up, I had flash rust on it. But that is over now. So, thanks. Looks like my screen's got a little bit of jizz on it. Well, first coat of bed liner. Got it everywhere. Didn't want to get it on the inside jambs. Those will be painted body color. I wiped where I got it on. The panels will go on the square tube, by the flats of the square tubing. So I wiped all that. You know, obviously it'll be hit with some 120 or something like that, or 180 or 220 or something like that before it gets primed and painted. So interesting. You can see some that's where the seam sealer filled, but as I was rolling this on, it actually started to penetrate in a few spots. To me, that's surprising. Not there, not there. Couple of pinholes. Couple of pinholes. Very interesting. It's a polyurethane, so it's a good product, but it gets up into those areas, even where the windshield meets right there. Very interesting. Not there though. But so a couple of spots in the back here. Of course, I couldn't get the primer up because the shelf is on the inside here. So it's nice. This way I can get the brush up in behind and touch the entire surface of the window frame all the way around. So I don't mind that it poked through there. I mean, it's polyurethane. I wiped it so I didn't have the speckles on it. You know, any of the rubber. Not that it would push through the pinhole, but the reality is there's a lot of little spots that it poked through, even with the urethane. So that gives me some assurance that the pinholes will be sealed from the inside out. That's just wonderful news. Anyway, that's first coat. I still want to roll up underneath the header there, are the roof edges. They're all primed, but I want to get some up there. And I'm not too concerned about getting all the way up there because I still have to weld on the finished roof. But I was going to do a 2-inch tape strip down the middle, but then I got to thinking, wire brush it, find the line, wire brush it, and go. I got started and I didn't want to stop. It's late, and I just wanted to get this first coat on. So there we have it. That is the first coat of the bed liner material, and it does give a pretty decent texture. Not that I'm looking for a texture in here, but I'm going to put 2 coats on because you can see a couple areas where it's, you know, there's light spots over the crown of that, looking at the firewall. So once that bonds in, cooks in, then I'll put a second coat on and really achieve some durability. So very happy with it. Used about a little better than half of the container on that. Got 2 containers. Do want to do the floor, but clearly you can see the floor isn't going to have nearly the real estate. This is significantly more area than a pickup box when you kind of add up all the corners and edges and stuff. So more later. Probably shouldn't weld with tennis shoes. Anyway, today's project involved putting on the drip rail. It's an aluminum extrusion with that flat piece. I got it sticking out just a little bit on this one that snaps in on the back side. So this guy here, I drilled probably every 4, I'll call it 4 to 6 inches.
Should be lifted up a little bit, or just get a shower or bolt on the bottom.
And screwed the, this here piece, not screwed, riveted it. So I ran a bead of panel bond all the way across the roof. There's a little bit on there. This is a cutoff. All the way across the roof. And then chased that panel bond with rivets. Taped the top and bottom. So I had a guideline, a place to go down, and then of course came back after everything squished out. It wasn't too dramatic anyway. Thought it would be. But chased it with lacquer thinner to clean it all out so it doesn't telegraph through the paint, all that kind of thing. But anyway, so that you preform it, and that I did in a hunk of wood that I used to shape, you know, get the profile around the window, because you sure as heck don't want to muscle it. The profile of the car body though was, you know, relatively simple to handle. But this stuff is an aluminum extrusion. It's you know, obviously because it's aluminum, it's very soft and malleable, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's a universal type gutter, but it does not, I repeat, does not like to snap together. I mean, it would if you were on a flat surface, but if you recall in this car, there's a series of drilled holes in a channel where the original drip rail was nailed to the wood behind it. From this point forward, though, this is all the original quarter panel with a series of holes in it, but from this point forward is where I overlapped and welded. That was extremely easy. But getting around this, I washered, basically put the panel bond on, and then I put two small washers behind each rivet to stand it out to this surface. And it worked really well. It worked really well. You can see the contour, actually the body goes out and around and so on and so forth. Like in low areas here, there are bigger gaps. Whoops. There are bigger gaps. And that's the reason why I say 4 to 6 inch spacing. I put the rivets in all the high spots, basically. Now it winds up. This is the worst, if you will. Of course, that's the post right there. The body comes out, and then it starts to wrap around. But right about here, in some of those areas, let's see if I can get it. You can see the drip rail comes in. So after the panel bond is completely dry, I'm going to have to chase down this aluminum rail with like a piece of wood, and I'll just run it back and forth down that drip rail. It suggests a rubber mallet, but you can't get a rubber mallet into this small channel to tap it onto that. So I used just a piece of wood right here. I used this orange hammer and a piece of pine, but it could have been even softer. But it did go on. It went fine. Here's the front view. Chasing around. Looks good. And a fly. Anyway, a spear will go on here. And on the back, I've bonded on a spear here, which I'll grind around. I ground all of the paint off because panel bond is a direct to metal. So there are some, exposed spots. But I'll have to go in here. You can kind of see. It's hard to see if I can get close, maybe. You can kind of see. Well, that's a high spot right there. Yeah, there was some foreign material behind it, or I tapped it or bent it or kinked it. So I'll have to go in here with a small piece of wood and a block, then come back and chase the channel. But again, it's aluminum. It's very easy to do. This side went on a little bit easier. Again, you can see it roll out and then roll around. This one rolls a little bit nicer than this side rolls out. More genuine than this side, where this side has this low area. But again, this is pinched a little bit right here. So I'll make sure they look, oh, you can see it's pinched. It's good up to about here, and then it's rolled in. So, I got some straightening to do. I wish it wasn't the case, but you can't push on this surface to put this on. So again, it's not for the faint of heart. You've got to take your time. And the fortunate thing with panel bond is the curing time is like 4 hours. The working time is well over an hour. So I'm pretty happy with it. It worked out. Another low spot right here. And again, just have to run through. The work never ends. Front and back, I mentioned there's a spear on the back. On the front, these are taped on. I haven't put those on yet because I think I need to build it out just a little bit more with fiberglass or mud, just a little bit. But that's the spear. This is the top side. It'll go on. Well, I can show you. You can see the nail nail hole in it for the original, but this just goes on like that. And it needs, I want it to taper in just a little bit. This side's a little better than the other side. This side's actually probably pretty good. But when I get the other side, tested out the other side, I did not like how it tapered in. So I want it to be perfectly the same on both sides, but it's just a good, nice little kind of a little finish for the front end. These are just come with the Speedway stuff. I didn't know, you know, when you order them, it's just the front or one profile, another profile, so on and so forth. I just chose that style for the front. The back is just basically a rounded edge. It doesn't have the step in it. So there's the nails that come with it, stainless nails. But I'll scratch these all out and paint them body color, because I want the drip rail. I'm not going to polish that aluminum. That'd be a pain in the ass. If people, I don't even know if people ever do that. I don't, you know, in my experience, I don't see people polishing and trying to finish out a drip rail, for crying out loud. But it is aluminum for the malleability and the formability, and there's a quick, there we go. So that one, I put the rounded edge to the bottom. It falls off. It'll take a lot, you know, I'll grind all that out of there and then blend it in when the time comes. But there you have it.